Welcome to Xiao Voice. Continuing from the previous episode 148. Xiao Yan did not become hasty despite having obtained traces of the sky poison dragon scorpion beast. A fierce beast with the strength of an 8-star Dozong was not an ordinary being. If he did prepare enough, it was likely that his chances of succeeding would not be great. At the moment, Xiao Yan's strength was merely that of a 1-star Dozong. The little fairy doctor had exceeded Xiao Yan's expectations and reached the level of a 6-star Dozong. This kind of training speed was also quite great. If they were to join hands, it would not be impossible to kill the sky poison dragon scorpion beast. However, they would definitely exhaust a ton of effort to do so. After all, an 8-star Dozong was similar to an existence like Fei Tian. Additionally, no one knew just what kind of trump cards the other party possessed. If they failed to capture him the first time and allowed him to flee, where would they go to look for him? Moreover, even if Xiao Yan possessed the energy to do so, the little fairy doctor did not have the strength to do so at the moment. Hence, he would rather not act. Once he acted, he would have absolute confidence he would succeed. Moreover, being an overlord of this fallen god stream, that sky poison dragon scorpion beast already possessed a human form. His intelligence would not be inferior to that of a human. He might even be more cunning than that. Hence, quite a number of powerful magical beasts would gather under him. If Xiao Yan and the little fairy doctor were to attack, these magical beasts would pose some trouble. Fortunately, Xiao Yan had Tian Huo Zun Jie, this great helper. Based on his initial plan, he would help Tian Huo Zun Jie refine a body before attacking the sky poison dragon scorpion beast. However, after searching for the ingredients in his storage ring, he discovered that he was coincidentally missing one item, the essence blood of a rank 7 magical beast. Of course, strictly speaking, it was not that he did not possess that item. The essence blood that had been refined from the corpse of the heaven demon phoenix was of a rank that far exceeded the requirement. Unfortunately, there was an insufficient amount of it. Only the few miserable droplets of the heaven demon phoenix essence blood remained in Xiao Yan's hands. This little bit was insufficient to refine a body. Hence, the essence blood that was required to refine this body would likely have to come from that sky poison dragon scorpion beast. Xiao Yan's upper body was naked as he sat within the cave that was filled with warm light. The ink-like demon poison spot was slowly wiggling on his chest. The circular surroundings of the poison spot had a faint green color. A high temperature was continuously being emitted from it. Under this high temperature, the demon poison spot was repeatedly emitting wisps of black air. Finally, these wisps were absorbed by the high temperature. With Xiao Yan's current strength, this demon poison spot no longer posed much of a threat to him. Moreover, with the help of the heavenly flame's might, he was able to refine it as he pleased. Of course, due to him being afraid that refining it all at once would cause his strength to soar and end up influencing his training foundation, Xiao Yan paid special attention during the refinement. He acted just like he was removing a cocoon as he slowly pulled out a thread at a time. Finally, he completely refined it and turned it into something he could use. Although Xiao Yan's advancement was suppressed during this careful refinement, his training speed was also something that an ordinary Dozong would not be able to match. After all, other people did not possess such pure Do Qi for them to refine and absorb. If one were to talk about it, Xie Bai Yan from the 10,000 Scorpion Gate back then had really left Xiao Yan with a wonderful treasure. A bonfire was burning within the cave. The little fairy doctor was holding her cheeks beside the bonfire. Occasionally, her eyes would glance at Xiao Yan, who was training. Each time, her eyes would pause on the demon poison spot on Xiao Yan's chest, stirring her memories. She recalled the scene of the fight with the 10,000 Scorpion Gate in the Chu Yun Empire back then. Boom! While the little fairy doctor's thoughts were drifting, a deep, muffled sound suddenly appeared in the cave. She hurriedly raised her head, only to discover that the energy within the cave had suddenly become violent. It was as though the energy was being dragged by something as it wildly surged to a corner of the cave. The little fairy doctor's eyes followed the direction the energy was surging to. Immediately, they paused on Xiao Yan's body. Surprise flashed across her pretty eyes. Advancement? This unusual phenomenon was not foreign to the little fairy doctor because she had already experienced it many times. Xie Bai Yan's strength had reached that of a 3 to 4 star Dozong back then. Although the poison spot that had been formed from all of his dou qi had caused Xiao Yan to suffer a little, it could be considered a great tonic. The little fairy doctor softly laughed and did not feel worried. When she saw Xiao Yan again, she had sensed that he was at the peak of a one-star dou zong and was not far from breaking through. Moreover, after having viciously refined the dou qi within the demon poison spot, Xiao Yan had naturally reached the requirement for his advancement. It was just as the little fairy doctor had expected. Xiao Yan's face did not reveal any panic after the unusual phenomenon occurred. Instead, he increased the suction. A cluster of jade-green flames swiftly poured out of his body. After which, the natural energy that surged over underwent an initial refinement by the heavenly flame before being unceremoniously absorbed into his body. Poison objects roamed all over the fallen god stream. Even the natural energy of this place was mixed with some poison gas. An ordinary expert would not dare to train in this place. Fortunately, Xiao Yan possessed the heavenly flame. The poison gas mixed in the natural energy was automatically removed by the frighteningly high temperature of the heavenly flame. The energy that a dou zong required to advance was extremely great. An unceasing amount of energy surged into the cave, forming an energy swirl around Xiao Yan. After which, it poured into Xiao Yan's body. The little fairy doctor lazily stood up after seeing the activity that Xiao Yan had created. She walked to the entrance of the cave. The poison beings within the fallen god stream were extremely sensitive to energy. This large-scale absorption of natural energy by Xiao Yan would definitely attract their attention. Therefore, she would need to put in some effort to guard him. The little fairy doctor's footsteps stopped at the entrance of the cave. She looked at the dark black world outside and lazily leaned against a rock wall. After musing for a moment, an unusually majestic aura slowly spread out, deterring some of the fierce and vicious poison creatures that had been attracted by the commotion. The unusual phenomenon in the cave continued for around half an hour or so before the raging natural energy gradually weakened. The energy swirl that lingered around Xiao Yan's body also became illusory. Not long after the final thread of energy entered Xiao Yan's body, his tightly shut eyes quivered a little. After which, he slowly opened them. Two substance-like energy pillars made of light shot out of his eyes and struck the enormous rock in front of him. The light emitted a puff sound as it penetrated through the rock. This was a situation that had occurred due to his body being overfilled with energy. The light within Xiao Yan's eyes was concealed after these two energy light pillars shot out. They once again returned to their rippleless forms. At a glance, he did not appear to be any different from his condition earlier. However, his aura was at least twice as strong as it was before. Xiao Yan extended his hand and gently clenched it. He could see the empty space above his hand forming wave after wave of distortions. Controlling space, this was the sign of an expert dou zong. However, one would only possess an initial control at this class. Only when one reached the dou zun class or even the dou sheng class would one be able to use spatial strength with a high degree of skill. Are you done? A warm laugh sounded in front of Xiao Yan while he was tirelessly and happily distorting space. He raised his head and saw the white-clothed little fairy doctor, who appeared exceptionally pure and enchanting. This demon poison spot is really a good thing. If I had to rely on absorbing the energy from the outside world, it would likely have required 1 month for me to reach the 2-star level. Xiao Yan grinned. He lowered his head, glanced at the black spot on his chest, and replied. The precondition is that you must possess the strength to control it. Did you forget how you were tortured by this thing in the past? The little fairy doctor rolled her eyes at Xiao Yan. This fellow had really forgotten the pain after the wound was healed. Xiao Yan smiled. He put his clothes back on and asked, "Is Xin Lan still not back?" "Oh, it has been 4 days since she left. Did something happen to her?" The little fairy doctor inclined her head and inquires with some hesitation. "I don't think so. The earth demon puppet is protecting her. If something happened to her, something should have also happened to the earth demon puppet. However, I have not sensed anything wrong with the earth demon puppet." Xiao Yan mused for a moment, shook his head, and said, "Let's wait for another 2 days. We will attack the sky poison dragon scorpion beast after the earth demon puppet returns. That way, we will be able to ascertain that nothing will go wrong." The little fairy doctor did not voice any objection to Xiao Yan's decision. She immediately nodded after Xiao Yan spoke. Xin Lan still did not return after another day had passed. Just when Xiao Yan also thought that something was wrong, the sound of rushing wind finally appeared outside of the cave. Immediately, a familiar figure rushed in with some anxiety. The Earth Demon puppet followed close behind her. Xiao Yan and Little Fairy Doctor finally sighed in relief after seeing that Xinlan was fine. They frowned when they saw her somewhat panicking face. What happened? Big brother Xiao Yan, things have become troublesome. Little Fairy Doctor Jia and you are wanted by the Ice River Valley. Moreover, they seem to also be aware that the both of you are still in the Fallen God Stream. Currently, many experts from the Ice River Valley are hurrying to the Fallen God Stream. Moreover, it is rumored that an expert at the peak of the Dozong class is among those hurrying over. Xinlan forcefully swallowed a mouthful of saliva as she hurriedly spoke with a somewhat pale face. Peak of the Dozong class? Xiao Yan's and the Little Fairy Doctor's expressions changed when they heard this. Immediately, their faces turned a little gloomy. This time around, the Ice River Valley was really willing to put in great capital. The peak of the Dozong class. Even Fei Tian from the Wind Lightning Pavilion had not reached that level. Looks like we need to speed up our journey. We must settle the Sky Poison Dragon Scorpion Beast before they find us. Everything will be fine once I help Tian Huo Zun Jie refine a body. Xiao Yan's eyes flickered. Currently, he didn't have the time to think about how the Ice River Valley had become aware of their trail. He raised his head to look at the sky outside before suddenly standing up. His eyes slid to the Little Fairy Doctor. Let's get moving.